a vacuum right now with Andrew Tate because he has so many of the youth in the United States and England in particular, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And I talked about this on a progressive show yesterday that are enchanted with him, that are enamored with him. And that is a failure of the leftists, as I see it, because blame it on the right, blame it on Andrew Tate himself, blame it
You
on
want to blame it on the liberals?
or blame it on the liberals. But I think as a leftist, we need to take responsibility and say, hey, we need to talk more to those kids and change their minds. And what I'm worried about is the youth are going to see movies like this and think that revolutionaries are a bunch of overzealous nutcases that are caught up on passwords. And that's not what we're about.
Yeah. Hollywood does this on purpose for people that don't know the full history of Hollywood. There was a time before the United States saw Hollywood as being a threat where there were communist directors, there were socialist directors. There was a
McCarthy wiped them out, though.
right.
That.
Yeah, and basically they had a whole meeting where they brought directors to Washington D.C. and they gave them a blueprint of what you should be talking about, and do not bring up communism in a good perspective. Don't bring it up in a positive or any type of educational perspective that would let people think that this type of system can be a better alternative to capitalism. I learned that in
Hollywood
art
started
school.
off by progressive Jews that were escaping anti-Semitism in the East Coast. And those progressive Jews, some of them got caught up in the communist movement. And then the CIA infiltrated Hollywood, and McCarthyism was kind of an extreme example of that. So it does have progressive roots, but it's not progressive anymore.
Nope. And it's more of a bourgeoisie run and bourgeoisie supporting type of screenwriters we have. That's why all the good guys seem to be cops in these movies. For instance, in these perspectives are on purpose. They put the propaganda into these films as well too. The propaganda of today, like that's the sad part about the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies, the origins of them were based off of true revolutionaries, especially like the X-Men. The X-Men were actually an adaptation of the Viet Cong. There's a lot about comic books, the revolutionary history of it and stuff like that, and it gets diluted now because they keep the liberal propaganda in replacement of the true revolutionary vision as well too within these comic book movies.
Well, anyways, if you want, I can get into how I ended up helping to organize a training camp.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So back in March of 2023, I took a train up to North Carolina and was picked up by Dust James, and we drove the rest of the way to DC. And this was for both the 20th anniversary of the Iraq War. Oh yeah, this is before October of 2023. Yeah, so I got confused for a second. So it was the hold on, there was two different things that was going on. There was an event in February that I did not go to because it was hosted by the Mises Caucus, who are the most racist element of the Libertarian Party who backed Trump. And I don't remember the name of that event. I think it was Rage Against the War Machine or something. So after the Rage Against the War Machine event, which I did not go to, at a protest for their unity with the right, I went instead in March to the much bigger rally for the 20th anniversary of the Iraq War. And so when I went there, I met Chairman Omali Yeshitala for the first time. And so I'd known about Uhuru for a long time, long before they were in the news for being gone after by the feds. Because I lived in Tampa and I knew many activists, and their headquarters is near Tampa in St. Petersburg, Florida. And so I got to meet the chairman, and I was inspired. And Dust and I were handing out flyers for our May event in Gainesville,